Okay, Nick here with NJ Electric. We're going to do a FPE panel change out. FPE stands for Federal Pacific Electric. They lost their UL listing back in the late 80s. Insurance companies are no longer insuring these panels, and they're requiring that new homeowners purchasing the homes that are 30 years older to have these panels replaced. This happens to be a 150 amp main breaker, 40 circuit load center. First thing we want to do is make sure that our power's off. I turned the main breaker off out at the where the meter base is. I checked it with a little ticker just to make sure we don't get shocked. I did before I even started was I used a label maker and labeled my panel using a sequence of numbers or letters. It's up to you, just to make sure that when I put the panel back together, I make sure that I get the correct wire on the correct size of the breaker. There's breakers ranging anywhere from 15 amp all the way up to 100 amps in this particular panel. You can see the little numbers or the little stickers on the ends of the wires there. Show you that's your ground bar where all your ground wires are. They're usually bare or green. We'll go ahead and disconnect all those wires, and then we'll go ahead and disconnect the load wire, the line wires coming from our meter base up at the top of the main breaker. Wire and your black wire or colored wire to be landed on that particular breaker in order to work properly. GFIC stands for ground fault interrupter. Usually our outlets located in the kitchens, bathrooms, and outside have to be on a breaker of that type. The most important thing to do is try and get all of your wires separated and straightened out as much as possible. This will make your panel extraction go a lot easier. It will also make it a lot easier for you when you go to install the new panel. Now you've got our new panel and our existing panel side by side. The purpose of this is to make sure that I can go ahead and make the proper knockouts in the new panel so that they look just like the old panel, so when I go to install it, our conduits will go in easier. I'm installing a ground bar kit. I just used the same one from the existing panel, and I'm just installing it in a new panel because it happens to fit. They also sell these at Home Depot and Lowe's for the panel. If you buy the panel from there, a lot of times you can just pick those ground bar kits right up from them at the same time of the purchase of the panel. It's usually bonded with a number 10 screw. now you can see the knockouts. I have a 1-inch knockout and two 2-inch knockouts at the bottom of the panel. It's easy to take and get the 1-inch with a Greenlee knockout set. It'll go ahead and make that particular hole the exact hole that it needs to be for the conduit that's going to be going into that space. And it's a Greenlee knockout punch set that I'm using. You'll notice I've already installed all my bare wires on the right hand side of that panel, all the ground wires. These are my feeder wires. I'll have a phase A, or the black wire, which goes on the left hand side of the big 2-pole main breaker, and I'm using an aluminum inhibitor. That's necessary when using aluminum wires. Install my second feeder wire, phase 2, or the red wire. Usually it'll come with like a little red stripe, or it can also be black. It doesn't really matter. The most important thing is that we use our Pentrox or our aluminum inhibitor for our aluminum wires because of expansion and contraction. And the other most important thing is that the white wire gets landed to our neutral bus on the guts. Now that we got our wires coming in from our meter base landed on our main breaker, I like to go ahead and land all of our neutral wires, or our white wires. White wires could also be gray in color. This particular panel has a neutral bus on both the right hand side and the left hand side of the panel guts. see the ground wires all properly tucked behind our neutral wires. 47 volts or 240. Then we'll take each phase to ground or neutral. You're looking for 120 volts or better. In this case, I think we've got, what does it look like there? 123 volts. That's good voltage on phase B. And on phase A, we got 123 volts. So we got good voltage coming in. That means everything's tight and torqued down properly. Okay, that's the end of this session. We'll have more panel change outs to come. Please keep in mind this is for educational purposes only. I do suggest that you make sure that you use a licensed electrical contractor when trying to install these types of panels. Thank you. Have a great evening.